Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our virtual ELV tour at AIS. Now, we'll get started in a moment. I think we're just waiting for a few more participants to join. But before we get started, I will ask everybody to please mute yourselves, and then you can unmute yourselves a little bit later in the session when we can have some questions. Now, the best way to enjoy today's session would be to ensure that your Zoom is set to speaker mode. This means that when the team is showing you around today, you'll have one larger screen rather than some small little tiles, which will make it a lot easier for you to see what's happening. Now, you can enable speaker mode by clicking on the top right-hand side of your Zoom screen and clicking speaker. Alrighty, so joining us this morning, we have our lovely Head of Infant Care, Miss Anna Cheisnick. Hi, Anna.
Hello, everyone. Very nice to have you here.
Our lovely Deputy Head of Early Years, Mr. James Holmes. Hi, James.
Hi, Sarah, and good morning, everyone. It's great to have you here.
Lovely. And last but not least, I will pass along to our wonderful Head of Early Years, Miss Aromi Dasanaik.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everybody. Lovely to see all of you here today.
Australian International School.
The Early Learning Village is one of a kind place for young children. We all know that it takes a village to raise children, so we built one. So Mr. James will take you through the level 2 playground, the swimming pool, the parent cafe, and a few classes on level 5. So he will talk about the programmer, the PYP program, the primary years program, and our language program, which is called Initial Lit. Miss Anna will tour you through our infant care facility and the multi-purpose rooms on level 1M. And I will take you on a tour to my very favorite place in the building, the library, because I get to play with everybody and read books to our little AIS students here. And then I'll take you to some classrooms in level 6. So now I'll pass you over to Mr. James, who is already on the playground. I tell you, Mr. James, he loves the playground. Whenever he's not in the level 2 office, he's always on that green. So over to you, Mr. James.
Thank you, Aromi, and I hope that you can all hear me okay here. I've just moved a short distance away from our offices on level 2. And you're joining me now, as Aromi said, on our level 2 playground, which is called the Green. So here at the Early Learning Village, AIS Early Years, we've got 3 separate purpose-built play spaces. Now, through adventurous play, these playgrounds combine many wonderful things. They combine art, music, sand and water, whilst also encouraging exploration and sensory inspiration. Now, we believe that this combination creates a safe and fun environment for learning, as well as helping our children to develop into confident young learners. So as I walk around the Green today, you can see the different zones in which children can play with the natural elements. So besides the main play structures, we've got a stand desk, a water channel, a splash table, which help to delight children's senses. Whilst we also have active play unfolding on the obstacle courses. So I'll pan around here and just to give you a little bit of context as to the space that we have here on level 2. So our 3 separate playgrounds are, as I said earlier, are spread across 3 levels, and they're all shielded from the sun by an 85% UV protected roof structure, which I'm showing you just now. So we believe that through play, children develop social and cognitive skills, and they gain the self-confidence to explore the world around them. Now, one of the things that I love about our play spaces here in the Early Learning Village is the way in which they support that belief in the importance of play. So a typical class of children playing out here would be encouraged to take off their shoes, to run, to explore, to interact, and to take new risks in an environment that's safe, supportive and encouraging. So you can see also the different levels that the playground offers. Children climbing up these hills and up the stairs, sliding down, taking different risks and new experiences at their comfort level. And of course, beautifully supported by our wonderful teachers. So I'm going to move now from the Green playground, and through here you'll see our parent cafe. So our parent cafe is just off the playground here on level 2. We've got our wonderful Miss Yonti here who works in our cafe. Hello, Miss Yonti. Good morning. Good coffee here as well, I have to say. So in normal times, you would see parents enjoying a coffee after dropping their child off at school and socialising with friends new and old. So currently with our safe management measures, we're unable to invite parents onto campus to dine in, but obviously hope to be able to reconnect soon. So before I show you now the Early Learning Village Swim Hub, I'd like to point out that our admin offices here on level 2 are located just off the playground and the swim hub. So here you'll find Aromi, Anna and myself, and also Miss Eduarda, our early years secretary. Hi, Miss Eduarda. In the Christmas spirit she is. So I'll move now to our swim hub and talk to you a little bit about this area. So alongside our outdoor play decks, we have a purpose-built 20-metre swimming pool with lanes for beginners, intermediate and advanced swimmers. And the swim hub is run by our team of swim instructors who all hold Australian accreditation. And at AIS, we cater for babies through to elite World Cup athletes and everything in between. So the swim hub is a fully customised facility, and it's again sheltered by the same roof, the same type of roof that protects our playground structures as well. So it's an 8 by 20 metre swimming pool with built-in ledges used for teaching. And one of the great things about this is that our children are familiar with this environment as they pass it every day. They see other children swimming in the pool. And our water quality in here is second to none, and it's adhering to both Australian and Singapore standards, and it's tested 4 times a day. So thank you for joining me briefly this morning here on level 2. I'm going to catch up with you a little bit later up on level 5. But I'm now going to hand you back to Miss Aromi, who's in our wonderful ELV library space. So thank you, Aromi.
Thank you, James. That was beautiful. I did see some of our friends there today. Maybe they're a bit late to arrive to the playground. So, belonging is a really important aspect for us in the early years. We want families and our learners to feel that they're part of our AIS family. And this is Miss Yana, our librarian, and Miss Leah is just coming in. Hi, Miss Leah. Lovely. So each week, the children will join their class in the library. During these sessions, the librarians will read 1 or 2 books together, and then the children are invited to explore the library and select a book to take home. Now, I have to go back because this is my favorite book. What do you do with an idea? I love this book, and whenever I drop by the library, I really like reading this book to our friends. We are reading for enjoyment in the library, and we encourage children to make their own book choices. We educators are always there to support and guide your child should they need help. We do find that this is the highlight for most children as they love the freedom to make their own choices to choose their books. During non-COVID times, parents are welcome to read to their children before and after school hours and borrow additional books. So this is a really great space, a space that you'll definitely find me. Now, this little section is really important to me and to all our learners because multiculturalism is a term of great relevance in today's context. With over 50 different nationalities representing our school population, we thrive on celebrating each other's cultures and learning from each other. So last term, we celebrated the 19th International Cultural Experience Day or the Ais Day. This is an annual campus-wide festival that brings together the AIS community to celebrate our diversity. This event is really packed with cultural workshops, performances, and food from around the world. The theme of the event is immediately visible at the start of the day, as students and teachers enter the school dressed in colorful ethnic attire. So this is our Ais Mini Library, and there are similar mini libraries in each pod. Now I'm going to pass you over to Miss Anna, who will tour you around the infant care facility. Over to you, Miss Anna.
Thank you, Ms. Hiromi. Welcome everyone to infant care, where we cater to babies 2 months old to 18 months old, at which point we help them transition to pre-nursery. But before this happens, we get to enjoy them and watch them learn and grow into confident little explorers. Here's the entrance. And our program is actually based on the philosophy of love, care, and respect. And we work in partnership with parents to assure that our environment here is the extension of your home. I'm just going to let myself in. And you can see that the whole place is very festive at the moment. We are celebrating Christmas. We also celebrate other wonderful occasions, depending on where the families in infant care are from. So we will also be doing Hanukkah this year, or we've done Diwali. So at the moment, the gifts are spilling from underneath the Christmas tree. We are doing Secret Santa and trying to enjoy the community and come together even in these challenging times. I'm going to take you into Koala One Classroom and show you around a little bit. So we strive to take care of your baby just as you would. And for this reason, we have elaborate boards in the classroom with detailed information on each child's preference. We also do work with families who would like a little bit more guidance. So it's entirely up to you whether you have a strong routine and you'd like us to follow it. We can absolutely do that. And if you'd like a bit more guidance, we can also advise. But we do honor the parents in the program as full partners. Looking around the classroom, you will notice that there are areas here where older toddlers can thrive. For example, those who like to jump and climb and run. And we also have areas where our littlest babies can feel safe. As you can see, we make a lot of our own toys. We believe that the very mundane, everyday objects make for the best toys. And they really bring out children's creativity and imagination. The curriculum grows with the child as we observe and set up the spaces according to individual needs. Each class is a mixed age group because it benefits children's social development. They get to care for each other and they learn from each other a little bit better, just as siblings would. We actually have 2 classrooms and 2 sleep rooms, but for our busy little people, we also have additional spaces where they can be little agents of their own learning. So have a little look around the classroom again, and I'm going to take you to the outdoor balcony. Here we have 2 sand pits and water play. If you see any messy spaces, please excuse us. We're just having lots of fun, and this is the greatest testimony to how much fun we can have in these environments. This is also where children enjoy their meals. We love for them to be able to listen to the birds and the sounds of the street. So here are the little tables where we sit down and eat. Currently, a craft is underway here. We are making some gifts for parents for Christmas. And we'll be having our lunch here in about an hour. Moving into the pod again, you can see that we have repurposed this space for an extension to our classroom. And this is a perfect space for children who want to practice walking, crawling, climbing a little bit more. We also have a calming sensory room with lights and lasers and sounds. We're going to have a little peek. Our babies love spending their time here. Okay, we are moving down the pod. And at the end of the pod, you can see one of the sleep rooms here. But we do have some little dreamers sleeping inside at the moment, so we're not going to disturb them. But I'll take you all around the pod here so you can see the setup that we have for little crawlers and stumpers. And here to the left, you can see a little area, a kitchenette. where parents unpack their bottles and formulas. They're all labeled. Each child has their own tub, and we also have a breast milk fridge, which is kept at the right temperature. Okay, now I am on the way to level 1M, where we have multi-purpose rooms. But before I get there, I would like to show you our team here at Infant Care. I'm very proud of our educators. You will get to know them soon. But as you can see, we have 8 loving hearts and 16 really warm arms, ready to hug and love your baby just as you would in your absence. And that's the tour of Infant Care. I'm going to now pass you on back to Miss Iromi.
Thank you, Anna. That was beautiful. So I'm in the possum pod, and I want to show you around the possum pod. So we believe that children have rights and not needs. We focus on really building a trusting relationship with your child. When children feel loved, cared, and respected, they begin to share their wanderings and their things with the teacher. So now I'm going to enter the Possum One Classroom for a little sneak peek as to what they're doing. Hello, friends. Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Miss Cara. One of our friends are making some gingerbread cookies over here. And all of them are having fun. Hey, hello. That's beautiful.
Merry Christmas!
Oh, Merry Christmas to you too. Beautiful. I'll see you soon, Miss Cara. Okay, so this is the outdoor area. I'll come back and I'll play with you. We follow the Reggio Emilia philosophy, and we view young children as individuals who are curious about their world and have a powerful potential to learn from all that surrounds them. So we talk about the Emergent Curriculum. The curriculum in the P1 and 2 classes stems from particular interest of the children. Curriculum topics are derived from talking with our children and their families, as well as from things that are known to be interest to children. Sand, of course, puddles, water. So teachers compare notes and observations in team planning sessions to decide which projects would be best suited to children in their class. Miss Joanne, I think there's a lot of water playing going in there.
We do have a lot of water play.
That's right. Exactly. Hello, friends. Thank you so much. So the classroom teacher the classroom is really referred as the third teacher in the Reggio schools. Much like the approach, great care is taken to construct an environment that allows for the easy exploration of various interests. I'm going to go into the pod again, and I'm going to talk to you about the carpet. Okay. I'm going to show you the carpet. The carpet used in the early years are hydroallergenic carpets that are 100% short pile nylon, which cannot breed any dust mites or bacteria. So that's really important. And these carpets are shampooed every day and steamed every day. Now, I hope I could show you how lunch is served in the early years, but let me take you to another classroom. So play is definitely an important part of our curriculum. So you could see our friends having fun out here. Let me just show you what's happening in this classroom. We encourage uninterrupted. Good morning. Hi, y'all are having so much fun. Thank you. You need some help? Okay. See you. So much fun in there. I wish I could stay back and play. We allow children to problem solve and experience and learn from age-appropriate conflicts with support. Now, That's a lot. Maybe I could show you the lunch, what's happening with our lunch, because lunch is served to all the children in the early years. Now, hi, Miss Andrea.
Hello. Morning.
Good morning. I can see that you're serving the lunch now.
Yeah,
What do we have today? We have
we're having
salmon,
salmon,
broccoli, cauliflower.
Yeah, and pasta.
And what's for the dessert today?
And they get yogurt for dessert today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Miss Andrea. And I love the way you have already served the lunch for them.
Yeah.
So where are our friends right now?
Our friends are playing
Of course, they're
having
outside
fun.
and they'll come back. Okay,
Yes, they'll come back.
beautiful. Thank
All
you.
ready?
Lovely.
You're welcome.
So lunch is served to children in the early years, and our dedicated nutritionists and chefs bring food to life through their passionate work, carefully creating menus to meet the diverse palate and dietary requirements. And over here, you could see the little cots are ready for their sleep time. So sleep is something that we really value again, because we consult with families about children's sleep and rest time rituals. Educators are sensitive to each child's needs so that sleep and rest time are a positive experience. So I'm going to pass you over to Mr. James. Okay. See you soon, Mr. James.
Hello, Romy again, and hello again, everyone on the call. So before I show you inside some of our P3, which is our 3-year-old children's pods, I just want to give you a little bit of context as to where I am. So previously you joined me on level 2, and I've taken a short ride up into the lift, and I'm now here on level 5. So I'm going to just spin my camera around and just give you a little bit of an idea of this. So I've come out of the lift, level 5, and as you can see here, we have our Australian animals marked on the floors. Now, I'm going to start off and take you into the Bilby Pod firstly this morning, and then we might go and visit our Platypus Pod soon after that. So again, the idea of connecting with an animal, with a pod that the children associate with, it's a really important part of what we do here. So one thing that's important to also note is that these pods are secured throughout the day. So I'll need to use my access card just here to allow me to get into the pod here. So currently, our normal times without COVID, parents would come up to the pod and drop your children off with your teacher and to see their class. At the moment, with our safe management measures, our parents of our 3- and 4-year-old children drop them downstairs on level 1, where our teachers bring them up to their classrooms. And that's just to minimise as much exposure across the community so we can keep everyone safe. So we're here in our Bilby Pod. I love this display on the wall. You can see the 100 languages of children. And that's something that we really believe in, and it's taken from the Reggio philosophy. So I'm going to show you some of the pod space here, some of the classrooms, as well as some of the outdoor spaces, both in this pod and our Platypus Pod just next door. So the design of the ELV and its intent is all about community and relationships. So a place where lasting friendships for both children and adults are built. So as I walk around the pod, I hope you can gain a bit more of a sense of this community that's been created here. I'll take you out to this space shortly where some of our children are enjoying some play. But firstly, let's have a look at one of the P3 classrooms. So Aromi has shared with you a little bit about our Reggio Emilia-inspired curriculum, and I'd like to speak to you about our inquiry-based program. So this is introduced from 3 years old. Now, the PYP, or the Primary Years Program, it's a curriculum framework that places the child at the centre of the learning. And it's offered here at AIS for students aged 3 to 12 years old. So this extends into the elementary school, of course. Now, in the PYP, students are the agents of their own learning, and they're partners in the learning process. And so by learning through inquiry and reflecting on their learning, students develop knowledge, they develop conceptual understanding, so that their knowledge, they can transfer that knowledge and apply it across different areas. Now, we also teach children to develop different skills, and I'm just going to step outside into the outdoor space as I talk about this. So we teach them different skills and all important attributes to help them make a difference in their own lives and beyond. So what does all this mean for a 3-year-old? Well, as you can see, got some beautiful provocations set up here. Now, currently, we're almost finishing our school year here at AIS, but this term, our 3 and 4-year-olds have been exploring the theme, how we express ourselves. And through the big idea of how artists explore and use a variety of materials to create. So the children are invited to explore these provocations, which you can see are set up here around the classrooms and in the spaces. And children are invited to explore, to ask questions, and to make connections to their prior understanding. So these opportunities to inquire, they're supported by the teacher as the facilitator, and they facilitate that learning through their questioning, through their documentation, which you can see some here, and also through reflecting with the children. So here we can see some of the documentation, some of the voice of the children in this classroom. Okay, so through this unit, children are learning how to be inquirers, how to be balanced, exploring different materials. We've got clay. We've got a whole range of other artistic approaches here. So I'm going to move back into the pod space now, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the teaching and learning that takes place here in the early years. Looks like we've got some letters to Santa as well. Now, it would be remiss of me to not highlight the intentional teaching that takes place. So this includes creating a learning environment that is rich in materials and interactions. And I want to just show you before I move on this beautiful space that's been created by the teachers here to help the students through this unit of inquiry. A lovely stage area that's been set up, created by taking the legs off some tables, some beautiful lighting behind, where the students again can explore and be creative and interact with their peers. Hello. All right. So speaking of intentional teaching, close the door there. Here we go. So again, we're in our Bilby Pod. So intentional teaching. Oh, hello. One of our 3-year-old students there. So providing opportunities for children to practice choosing, thinking, negotiating, problem solving, as well as taking risks. It involves the teacher actively. Hello. You've been having a great time dressed as a tiger. So all of these wonderful opportunities where the teacher actively joins in the children's play. They're tuning in, they're responding to their views and to their ideas, as well as modelling thinking and problem solving. So our teachers also focus on early literacy and numeracy, and the power of play is that driving tool for that learning to occur. So I'm going to now move into our Platypus Pod and show you a little bit more, and if we're lucky, hopefully we'll see one of our specialist classes taking place. So as I'm moving through, you can see I've come out back into the lift lobby where I came out from, and our Platypus Pod, as you can see here, follow the green line and we'll find our Platypus Pod. So I'll talk to you a little bit about literacy and numeracy. Okay, so for children in our early years, literacy and numeracy, we're not necessarily talking about things like stenciled letters and counting practice at group times, okay, or writing practice or reciting the alphabet or pasting pre-drawn letters or numbers. Okay, it's important for the learning to reflect a child's age and stage of development. So, for example, oral language is a significant aspect of early literacy. So this includes conversation, it includes listening to others, making up stories, listening to stories, songs, rhymes, dramatic play, and so much more. So we also offer a program in all of our 4-year-old classes called Pre-Lit. Now, Pre-Lit is a skills-based program, and it focuses on phonological awareness. and that is the awareness and the ability to work with sounds in spoken language. I'm coming in here to Miss Anita's class. There's Miss Anita. Hello, good morning. Nice to see you. Your children are at music now, I believe. Great. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the specialist program as I move through here. But back to pre-lit, as I mentioned, it's that focus on phonological awareness. So it also focuses on the oral language development through structured storybook reading. Now, as I move through the Platypus Pod, I hope that you can see some of these things in context. And one of the things that I love about the learning spaces here in the Early Learning Village is both the similarities and the differences between the floors. So, of course, a child's classroom might be set up differently to their classroom next door to them in their pod, but the similar and the familiar layout of the pods really helps the children as they move through the early years and into the elementary school. So the pods all have similar features, which include a kitchen, and you've seen some of those today with Anna and Aromi. Also the child height access on one side. So you might have, here's one of our kitchen spaces here, and on the other side, we have a ledge for children to be able to access at their level. So our pod library space just here, it's another wonderful space that the pod offers us for the children to learn and engage with books with their teachers and their peers. And it really helps the learning to flow out from the classroom space and into the pod areas. Now, below me on level 4 are our 4-year-old students. And level 3 is our prep or kindergarten students, as you might know them. And they belong, the kindergarten students belong to the elementary school. So that familiarity of the space, of the environment, we believe is a really strong factor which helps contribute to the success of our transition programs from one year group to the next. So an example of this, you can see some of our makerspace materials here as well. An example of the transition is the P4 students, our 4-year-olds moving into prep. So just recently, across this term, the teachers have helped to facilitate the transition for students who'll be joining the elementary school next year. So that program involved regular catch-ups between classes over the term, as well as opportunities for students to ask questions and see what a day in prep looks like. And we've also provided sessions for parents to learn more about the transition, as well as providing extra support for those students who may benefit from that. Now, before I hand you back to Miss Anna on our 1M mezzanine level, we've got some of our wonderful students back from their specialist class. Hello. I'm going to take you into one of the classrooms because I want to talk about our specialist program. Okay, so in the early years, aside from having qualified classroom teachers, our specialist program is led by our team of qualified specialist teachers. So students are offered Mandarin 4 times a week. They're offered PE and music twice a week, and library or inquiry once a week. And so these are all 40-minute sessions across the weeks. So, Miss Cheryl, your class is off. Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
You just had Mandarin, is that right? I've just missed it. I've been talking too much, Miss Cheryl. Let's go in and have a look. We'll go and meet Fei Lao Shi. So this is again another one of the classes getting ready for their lunchtime. Hello, hi there. So as you can see, it's the routines the children are familiar with, setting up for their day, preparing for their lunch. All right, I think I've talked more than enough today. I'm going to hand you over back to Anna now to talk a little bit more about our amazing facility here. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Mr. James. I just love how confident and comfortable and sociable our little friends are saying hello to you. It was so nice to see what's going on your level. I have made it to level 1M. We call it the flower room level. These are multi-purpose rooms, which I'm going to show you in a little moment. This is where you would normally find our specialist teachers. But first, I'd like to take you to the hive. This is essentially like a big gym. There's a large space which invites children to engage in gross motor skills. And the specialist teachers design the experiences with children's developmental needs and goals in mind. And I can see that they are almost finished with their class at the moment, but we're going to have a little look and say hello. Hello, everybody. Are you packing up? What will you be doing? You're packing up. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the lovely cuddle. I'll be stuck here. Oh, lovely. I'm going to have a look in the other rooms, and then I'll come and see you again, all right? Okay, do a good job cleaning up. Bye. I'm showing everyone our school and how proud we are. All right. Just so I can show everybody our lovely school. So moving down this corridor, you will see the documentation here on the walls. And this is actually where we showcase and celebrate children's learning. And this is where we give them the voice and revisit some of their ideas. When you're here, please don't miss out on learning all about children's adventures. Some of them are very inspiring. Some of the thinking is really complex, and you can really see the follow-through. This is one of the rooms we are passing now. It is a room for gross motor skills. As you can see, children do a lot of climbing here, hiding, also socializing. I'm going to take you now to the STEAM room. Here we are. I'm going to let myself in again. Welcome to the STEAM room. This is probably my favorite room to explore in. STEAM stands for experiences which involve science, technology, engineering, math, and art. We believe that the knowledge children generate from within stays around longer, and it renders better understanding, so we encourage them to be researchers and scientists. Let's have a look at one of the experiences that helps children explore research and question. Here we have the so-called B-bots. These are robots which help children master the foundations of robotics. By pressing the button on the robot's back, children get to use their mathematical thinking when planning a route for the B-bot. So you would typically use this mat, you'd put the B-bot on top, and then you would encourage the child to find a route from, for example, point B to the tree. And they would have to show their skills in planning, forward thinking, maths as well. You'd have to add the squares, for example. So it's a very clever, fun, and motivating way to learn literacy and numeracy, and also robotics. Now, I would love to show you more. As you can see, the room is chock full of interesting experiences. However, if I do that, I'm fairly sure that I just spend the rest of the day playing in this room. So instead, I will now hand you over to James and Iromi back in the office, and I'm going to run back and have a little snuggle with my friends before I run upstairs and meet you there to answer some questions. Over to you, Mr. James and Mr. Iromi.
Thank you, Anna.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for such a lovely tour. We will now open up to the question and answer part of the session. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to either unmute yourself and ask us a question directly. Otherwise, we have a chat bar and you're very welcome to pop some questions in the chat bar if anything was unclear or if you'd like to know anything more about something we've discussed today. Now, in the meantime, Ms. Iromi, do you mind helping to explain a little bit more about the settling process at AIS and how that works for our new students coming in?
Definitely, Sarah. That's a really good question because you're handing over your most precious child to us. So we really need to make sure that they feel that sense of belonging. So what we do is before you enter the school, once you sign up, we really connect you with the classroom teacher. So the classroom teacher would have a virtual meeting with you to really understand what are your child's needs, what are their interests, what are they really wanting to know more about. So that's the first thing that we do, Sarah. And the next would be On the first day that they arrive, we make sure we create an environment where they feel that familiarity. So if your child likes the Hungry Caterpillar book, we will make sure we set up a provocation or an activity with that Hungry Caterpillar book and a few other toys that would encourage them to come into the classroom. And when the teacher starts speaking to the parents, we really encourage the parents to say, okay, I'm going to leave you today with Miss Sarah, but I will come back at 3 o'clock to pick you up. I think when the parents build that trust with the teacher and really start talking about how I'm going to trust this adult, the children feel so comfortable. So it is building the strong relationship with the parents and the children is what we really focus on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And it's so sweet. I've seen the little ones getting dropped off on their first day, and usually they're so excited about all of the fun things in the classroom that they just forget to say goodbye. So it's very lovely. Thank you so much for explaining about that. Now we have a couple of questions here from May. So I might hand over to James if he wouldn't mind explaining a little bit more about how the swim program works, please.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question. And you obviously saw in my part of the tour the swim hub there. And so our swim program, again, with a lot of the things that we've been under restrictions with this year in COVID, is one of those things that's been affected, but we've been fortunate enough that we've been able to work really closely with the CPE, who give us the guidelines from the MOH, and really establish a swim program that's worked across the year for a lot of our students. So our 3 and 4-year-old kids this year have had a couple of different blocks of swimming sessions, and this year, they have meant that the children have had a one-on-one lesson with the qualified swim instructors. So that's something that moving forward, our swim program in normal times would extend all the way to our younger students as well. And that also provides the opportunities for you as parents to come and actually join your child in the pool. Now, we're hopeful, of course, and optimistic that those are some of the things that we can move back to in the future. But even under the restrictions, we've been able to offer sessions for our 4 and 3-year-olds, and the prep students have also just swum this term as well. And it really, we value that program so much, and it's such an important thing, an important skill for children to learn. So something that we really support and work closely with families on.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we've got a couple of other questions from May as well. So we've got a question around the school bus offering, and she'd also like to know what the age group would be for a child born in June 2019. So I can easily answer that. That would be our nursery level.
So I think, Sarah, maybe we can talk a little bit about the school bus offerings while Sarah's dealing with that. So with the school bus, from children that are 2 years old and above, they are able to use our school bus service. So it's island-wide. We have a number of different bus route options depending on where you live. So we work closely with our transport company, Johnson's, to set up and enrol students in the buses. And as I said, students can arrive at school, get taken home in the afternoon using the bus service. Our wonderful teachers and teacher assistants help to facilitate with the movement of children from the ELV to the bus bay and ensure that they're safely put onto the buses, as well as, promoting the use of the safe rider vests, of course, to ensure their safety on those buses. Aromi or Anna, did you want to add anything more about the buses there before Sarah jumps back in?
You've done a beautiful job, Mr. James. And we really work closely with the bus company. And one of us would always be there at the bus bay as well to make sure that that operation is smooth. Miss Sarah, do we have any?
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I was having a little trouble with my microphone there. So that's perfect. And thank you so much for your lovely answers. Now, I might have a question for Miss Anna just regarding how much time is allocated to sleep, meals, outdoor play, and how much time do they spend in the pod. So if Anna, you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about how the day is structured, that would be super helpful. Thank you.
Of course, I don't mind sharing. Our schedule is semi-structured. We do want to leave some flexibility to really follow children's needs and their interests. So although there is a skeleton to the day, we do try to cater to each child individually. Some children get overwhelmed and, they're overstimulated, then they might need a quiet time. Some children sleep longer. Some children just need a quick 15-minute rest, and that's also okay. So we work very closely with the families to bring children what they actually need. When it comes to sleeping, it really depends on the child's age. For infant care, it would be anywhere between, 2-hour naps every 4 hours, for example, or maybe just a long nap in the middle of the day. Pre-nursery and nursery children have one longer nap around noon, and it also depends on how long the child wants to sleep. The teachers will be there to facilitate the sleep and support children if they're not used to sleeping in an environment different from their home. So that's usually a bit of an adjustment period. I'm also currently getting trained as a sleep consultant, so I would like to offer my help to the parents. I do have a couple more months, but I think I have digested enough books at this point that I can offer some help. And of course, our P4 children who are closer to 4 and 5-year-olds, they will probably need the least rest or no naps at all. They do practice mindfulness, so they might rest their bodies and learn how to be still for about 15 minutes just to reset their little batteries, and then they keep going. When it comes to meals, we have morning tea. Again, we offer morning tea usually for infant care, but children in pre-nursery and up bring their own snacks, morning snacks. We have lunch around 11 o'clock, which is provided. It's catered for by our own kitchen here, and we have afternoon tea as well. So again, when that happens depends on children's schedules throughout the day. Playground is twice a day, and children would usually have their own slot allocated at the moment due to COVID restrictions. But normally there's also some flexibility to that, and the teacher would take the children out when they're feeling like they need to stretch their little muscles and do some climbing. So it really depends on the age group, but I hope I gave a good idea on what the day might look like.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was very helpful, Anna. And we have another question about the sleeping arrangements, if you don't mind. We've got a child that's a little bit of a light sleeper and just wondering how we might be able to deal with that for her baby. And what kind of strategies might you implement if we've got some light sleepers upstairs?
So I think the first thing we would want to do is speak to the parents and get to know the child and see what really the issue is. Is it the sounds? Is it how bright the room is or how dark it is? Children have very different needs. So we would work very closely with the parents to find the best way to help them out. And as I said, I'm currently learning more about this, and I'd be very happy to get in touch with the parents if they would like to have a longer chat.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Now we've got a question here just about the inside and outside play spaces and play timing. So James, would you mind just sharing a little bit more about how much time we spend outside and what that would look like, and whether or not we can do any excursions at the moment for our early years students?
Sure. So you would have seen through the tour, both the classroom environment has the indoor aspect as well as the outdoor aspect as well. So during the day when the children are in those classrooms, they have full access to all the spaces. And as you probably heard the word agency mentioned a few times this morning, it really is about giving the students agency to choose where they'd like to play, what they'd like to do in their class environment. In terms of the play spaces across a day, at the moment, the teachers have a schedule that they stick to in terms of visiting different play areas. So it might be once or twice through the day where they would have a time where they might go and visit the green, where you joined me at the beginning, or they might go up to level 3 to the canopy or down to the musical bridge on level 1M. Again, I've mentioned it a few times, but COVID restrictions aside, that allows us a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more interaction between other classes. So that also then opens up other options and possibilities for children to engage and play with some different children from other classes a little bit more, but certainly opportunities throughout the day, both in the classroom and on the play spaces to engage in those different areas. Excursions, another one of those things that at the moment is on hold, but again, we are optimistic that some of those restrictions are going to begin to change and we can start to open up again. But certainly previously that's something that we have done with our early year students. Even as simple as going for a walk down to the park next door is a great way for us to explore our environment around us and close by. So we've got a beautiful park right next to our village here that provides lots of opportunities for our children to explore.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Hi,
much, James.
That was my question. I just wanted to clarify, so that's the case for infant care as well, so they would go outside for activities and use the green, or there'd be specific playgrounds for them that they would use?
So maybe I'll take this question. For infant care, we also have the so-called playground in the sky. So we have a balcony with 2 sand pits and water play, but we do go occasionally to the playgrounds as well. And we have on level 1M, where I was showing the flower rooms, we do have a gross motor room where we climb and exercise and play with the children there. So they do have a lot of options. We have the extension in the pod, we have sensory rooms. So there's plenty of spaces that children can explore even in infant care.
Thank you.
I hope that helps to answer. And we have so many fantastic questions coming through. So thank you very much, everybody. And I'm reading them all and we will get through them all. So thank you very much for your patience in sending through such fantastic questions. Now, Romy, would you mind sharing a little bit more about what the day is like for infant care versus our other, preschool and pre-nursery age groups? So what are the timings and the different attendance options would be fantastic if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about that, please.
Sure, definitely. So we really make sure that we adapt our program to suit your needs. So we have the 5 full-day program, the 5 half-day program, the 4-day program, which gives you time to spend a Wednesday with your child, or the 3-day program. It could be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So those are our day options. And when it comes to the day of, let's say, a pre-P1 or P2, the 18 months to the 3-year-olds, they start their day around 8:45. And then when they enter the pod is set up in a way that we call provocations, where we really encourage our children to provoke their thinking. So the children have that beautiful space where they can choose to play outside, which could be all sensory play, because you have the taps, you have the sand, and some of them really love spending the time outdoors, while some of the other children would like to spend their time indoors reading a book or playing with other objects. So normally at around 9 o'clock, the teachers would have circle time, which we call circle time, which is again where we really have that intentional teaching in place and creating that beautiful community by sharing our ideas, sharing what happened during the day, how did you come to school, and then we move on to our snack time. So we really encourage everybody to bring healthy snacks, because it's really important. And children, I tell you, when their friends are eating an apple, they want an apple too. So it's an easy way to make them eat all the healthy fruits and vegetables. And then they would have a specialist session, or they would move into the playgrounds, have play downstairs, or they could go to the library. They could choose a few books. And around 11:30, they're served with a hot meal. So it's a ritual. Mealtime is a ritual where they sit around the table, set up the table together and enjoy a meal. And especially with our P1s and 2s, then the nappy changing routines come into place and they have a little nap. When they wake up, it could be a specialist session, or again, they would love to play with their teachers. And at 3 o'clock, their mummies and daddies come and pick them up. Now, I know, Anna, it's a bit different in infant care. I'll let you explain how the routines work in infant care.
So infant care mirrors the routines from home, because every baby is at a different age and stage in their development. It's a more responsive practice and caring and respectful practice to adapt the routines that you have already established. But of course, having said that, there are some children who are very resistant to routines and takes a bit longer, and parents might need some help or guidance. Then we are always here for you to advise and even sketch out a routine which you can try and follow and give you some tips. So even though we have a 1-to-4 ratio and a maximum of 32 children across 2 classrooms, a lot of these children will be sleeping at a certain time of the day, and another group will be playing, and then another group will be taking their bottles or eating. So we are never all of us in the classroom at the same time. We're trying to be very respectful to the child's needs. We have, because the day is a little bit longer, we have an open door policy from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can drop off and pick up at any time within these hours. And because of that, we offer all of the meals, solid meals, because the parent is asked to provide the formula and the breast milk. But for our solid meals, we have our morning tea, lunchtime, afternoon tea, and a late afternoon snack as well. And these are prepared by our special kitchen, taking into consideration what your baby is ready to consume and which stage. So we would have some babies only starting on solids and some babies really comfortable with solids. But again, that's it's all down to us collaborating and talking and deciding when we would like to start and how. So we are fully your partners. And we do communicate with you a lot before we make any decision for your baby. I hope that explains.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Anna. And Sharon has, we've got about 4 or 5 questions here from Sharon, but you've just explained perfectly a lot of them. So you've covered a lot in there. So we've covered the ratios, the drop-off timings. We've got a pediatric trained nurse, Miss Lovely Alison. So do you mind helping to explain a little bit about her role and how she spends time with the children? And then the second question would be, how do you manage for children that have difficulty staying asleep when placed in a cot and would prefer to be in your arms when they're having their nap?
Sure. So there's, or maybe I'll start with the pediatric nurse. Our pediatric nurse, her name is Alison, is such a wonderful person, very knowledgeable, and she's always happy to help the parents and advise them if they're unsure whether they should see a doctor or anything is normal for a child's development. So of course she works with us very closely. She also comes up very often to play with the children so that when we take them down to the health center, they're not scared. They know her, they've played with her, and they're happy for her to either listen to their chests or take their temperature. So it's not a stressful experience for the baby. And the second question was about...
Second question is about children that would prefer to be held when they're falling asleep rather than being in a cot or might not settle so well in a cot by themselves.
Yes, and that is absolutely fine. They are so little and they still need that touch and they need the closeness, and we do not want them to feel abandoned by any means, and we are building trust with them as well. So it's very important that in the beginning we proceed the way that parents do. When parents sign up for the program, they receive a form where they share information on the child's preferences, routines, and what suits them, what kind of stories they like, what kind of strategies, and we implement that straight away. And then we very slowly phase it out and also guide parents through the process so that the baby doesn't feel like everything is suddenly changing and it's so stressful. We'll do it in small steps. We'll get permission from parents. We'll see how far they're comfortable to go. So it is, again, a full partnership. It largely depends on the baby as well.
Thank you so much, Anna. And just to double check, do we offer a 5 half-day option in infant care, or could you explain a little bit more about the attendance options, please?
Sure. So we actually have the open door policy, which means that if parents want to just do a part of the day, they're absolutely welcome to. But the options are 5 days, 3 days. That will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We are working on adding a 4-day option at the moment, but it has not yet been confirmed, so that's something to look forward to. And a 2-day option, which is usually suitable for children who do not have a strong separation anxiety and are okay to just drop in for 2 days out of the week.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, we are running out of time here, but we do have all of your questions. So our admissions team will be in touch with everybody who's been joining the session this afternoon just to make sure that we do cover everything for you. We had one last question that I don't think we covered, so I might throw this over to James if you wouldn't mind to answer. Just wondering whether or not the school food is halal, or if it's a halal certified kitchen at all, or what the options are for the lunches, please.
Sure. Yes. In short, the answer is yes. And I know, Aromi, we work together as a team really closely with our chefs and the kitchen staff to ensure that we're able to provide food options that suit your child. So we've got catering for different dietary needs, for allergy needs as well, and also looking at providing a range of options that are a preferred thing for each individual student. Romy, did you want to add any more on to about the food options that we have here in the early years?
Definitely, Jim. So it's not a halal certified kitchen, but we don't serve any pork in the kitchen. So that's something that we need to be clear of. It is not a halal certified kitchen, but we do have a lot of options. And remember, James, we had a child who was a total vegetarian who didn't even take onions or garlic, and we made sure that we provided a meal that suited his dietary restrictions. So we are more than happy to have a chat with you and make sure that we provide the best nutrition for your child.
And all of our menus are shared with across our community as well for the upcoming month ahead too.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for the wonderful tour of the Early Learning Village, James, Aromi and Anna. That will conclude the session for today. So please feel free to leave the meeting whenever you're ready. And like I said, we'll be in touch to answer any further questions or offer a school tour if you'd like to come for a visit. We'd love to see you in the campus. Thank you again for attending and have a lovely afternoon.